looking at.
Right.
If you read through those 2,000 pages, a good 1,000 page of it is about making Medicare work better.
Right.
So that is part of
That's what
what's going
should
on.
be done.
Yeah, but
Instead of
there's
spending
not nearly
trillions.
enough going on in terms of waste and abuse. My staff is working on a bill that I call the 60 Minutes bill. I don't know how many people saw the 60 Minutes story on Medicare. Had this drug dealer guy who used to be a drug dealer, and then he said I quit being a drug dealer because it was easier to steal from Medicare. And I set up these little.
Well, why don't
he
they
said
go
this on
after
60
them?
Minutes a couple weeks ago. He sets up a little fake store where he sells wheelchairs and crutches and stuff, and then he buys a list of seniors' names and birth dates and social security numbers, and then he just starts sending letters to Medicare saying he gave this woman a wheelchair and this guy a crutches and this woman a wheelchair, and he says you can go for 3 months and make a lot of money, and then Medicare kind of figures it out, but then he's moved to another town and he's doing it again with the same names and the same people. And 60 Minutes had him on. Now, they eventually caught him. So I have a bill that we are working on right now that it's very simple. It's the kind of bill anyone can understand. Medicare cannot send a check to a new company until they talk to 10 customers and verify that they actually got the junk.
Right.
Good idea.
But I've
How hard
also
is it? I don't know, but why has this not been done for 20 years? I have no idea, but we're going to try to get that done in the next few months.
Well, your president says that he can save all this money through.
I think he's our
with the
president.
fraud.
You may not like him, but he's all about president. That's an
Well, he's
important
not mine
distinction.
right now.
You may not like him, but he's still your
He can
president.
correct all this through fraud, save all this money. Why don't they do it now? What are they waiting for?
I'm going to work on that. You had your hand up next.
Well, my question, I'm Heidi
And
Meek,
we'll do
by the
one
way.
more, and then I'm gonna
And
go.
I'm sorry, I
to the
didn't
next
mean to
one.
say that. I didn't want to.
That's okay.
Heidi Meek, just down the road here in
Heidi, nice to
Jackson.
see you.
About your healthcare bill, who funded the study? The government. Who's trying to cut costs in healthcare right now? Government. And the easiest way is to, start eliminating tests, start eliminating everything.
That's possible. I haven't dug into. I mean, it was a panel like 16 experts from different health centers all over the place.
But
But I
they're being
understand.
paid
I understand your
by
fear.
And my question is, can we get term limits on our politicians?
Well,
Say two terms,
So-
any office, and
This-
then move on.
This won't be popular
I
in
know.
the room, but I will say this. I have never, when I wasn't in politics, I believe term limits exist. They're called elections. You guys have the chance, everybody has the chance to throw politicians out, and I think it should happen somewhat regularly. I don't necessarily think the House of Representatives is a 2-year term.
Right.
So you're there for 4 years if you have 2 terms.
Right.
You know, it's a $4 trillion budget. I wouldn't want to have, if I ran a company, as I used to, if I had a $4 trillion budget, I would not want to say nobody could have more than 4 years experience that's working on that budget. So I think there's I think there's some good to having some people there for longer, to have institutional knowledge about, we tried this 10 years ago, it didn't work. That happen. It does come up in conversations. I'll come up with an idea and I'll say to somebody and they'll say, well, that's a lot like something we tried in 1985 and here's what did and didn't work. So I think there's some balance there that is good, and I think elections, I think we should be more aggressive about throwing people out that we're not happy with, but I think elections do give us that option, and that's my opinion. And I'm not a career politician. Maybe I will be 40 years from now, but I haven't been. So I'm not coming from the perspective of, hey, I just want to do this all my life. I wanted to run businesses, but that's just always what I've thought. So.
Campaign finance reform.
Absolutely would be great. I've signed on to the Fair Elections Act, and we should do it. It's a ridiculous way we fund.
I know you got to go, so I'll be quick. Noel Hance, live about 1.5 miles from here in Jackson.
Good to see you.
On healthcare, it's hard for me to imagine that we can't do better than the existing system, and when the bill comes back, I hope you'll support it.
Okay.
Second, on the judicial system, our judicial system is something that we should be proud of, and we should be proud that we can have a trial in the public, and that we're not trying people the way they do in Iran or some other place. So I think we ought to celebrate the fact that we have a system that can deal with difficult cases, including the 9/11 terrorists. It shouldn't be that difficult.
He pled guilty already. He pled guilty already. Why are you going to?
We may disagree about that, but that's also, this is a good place to end, that's also what's so great about this country, is that people who totally disagree about fundamental issues we're facing today can come out to the local diner and talk about it and talk to their representatives and try to work out the best solution. And doesn't make my job particularly easily that I got to represent guys that totally disagree about stuff, but it's what's fun, in my opinion, and we try to come up with the good outcomes. I love these conversations. I think this is the best part of of being American and the best part of my job, and I really appreciate people taking the time to come out and to be involved. And feel free to get involved with communicating with us in my offices, which are in the newspaper, or you can go to the website scottmurphy.house.gov, and you can email us or find ways to get in touch with us on the phone, and feel free to do that. We've got thousands and thousands of people calling us about the health care bill. It was amazing that it was almost exactly 50-50, yes or no, when we got done, which I was kind of astonishing given that it was like 10,000 people that got in touch with us, but it gave us a sense that there's a wide range of opinions about these things, and I get to represent everybody, and I can guarantee you as a result that you won't like everything I do, but hopefully you'll like my way of finding a way to a solution or an idea, and I'm sure you'll like something that I do, and that'll be the trade-off that we all have to live with. So thank you again for being here, and thanks so much for being involved, and thanks for letting me do this job.